In the last video on drawing steps, I showed you how to draw in steps freehand. Now granted, this one is pretty simple, only 3 steps, but we've been getting calls from people saying, well, what if it's a little more complicated, so twists and turns in the steps? How do we do that? So I'm going to show you how to trace steps from our steps library, things that are a little bit more complicated at different angles. So that's what this video is going to be about. So first of all, I'm going to use the same background picture. Then I'm pulling up the new steps library. If you don't have this library in Greenscapes, you could download it free from our website. So I'm going to pull up a couple steps and show you some examples. So let's bring this one up here. Let's minimize that. This guy's obviously too big. So if I want these steps coming down here, this one would be pretty simple, much like we did on the first video, because it's just straight on. So I'm not going to use this one. I just wanted to show you it's too simple. So we'll get rid of that one. And I'm going to bring up this one here. Now this one looks a little too small, so I'm going to size it up and place it right about there. Now I want to cut off this first step because I'm not going to use it. So I'm going to go up here to the eraser tool. I've got the big square brush, and I'm going to hold down the control key to cut with a straight line, and I just chop that off. Now I don't want these steps moving while I'm drawing, because a lot of times you're using the drawing tools, you accidentally click on the object and then it moves. So I want it to be still. So to do that, you right click over the image, and you see right here where it says movable. I'm going to take that check mark off by clicking on it, then click OK, and now you notice I cannot move these steps. So I'm not going to get them out of alignment, because if you do that and they're off just by a few pixels, it just creates havoc. Well, not havoc, but more work than you need to do. So the first thing you need to do is to trace the risers and then trace the steps, or the steps then the risers. It doesn't really matter what order you do them in, long as that the lines are lined up. You can always fix that, and we'll show you how. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trace this step right here. So we'll go up to the drawing tool. Automatically the polygon tool is selected. I'm going to zoom in by pressing F10, and I'm just going to trace this step. Now I've got it traced. I go here to the Greenscapes library. We're going to use paved stone here. So let's bring over some of the paved stones. We're going to use the Old Town Blend, so I'll click on that. And now I want to set the perspective of it. So to do that, click on free up here at perspective, so you have all the handles free, and then just take these handles and line them up on the corners of this step you drew, like that. I'm going to scale it up a little bit here, maybe a little bit more. So now we've got the paver set in there. So we're done. We're going to click OK. Now I want to trace this riser. So again, I go to the drawing tool, and we want to go back into Greenscapes. So now I'm going to use a running bond in the same color. So let's go down and find that guy. I'm sure there's one here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Again, click on free, or actually walls will probably do it faster. So click on walls, bring this one down here, bring this one over here. Free would work, but walls is faster. So now I want this to be about 2 bricks high, so we'll make those a little bit larger. And something's off here. There we go. Alright, so I've got that set. I click OK. And now I want to draw another step. So again, I go into the drawing tools, and this is going to be repetitive, so I'm just going to do a couple of them here for you, and then we're going to skip ahead. So I've got that drawn. Now this time, instead of having to go in and find the library, I'm going to close this up here to get it out of my way. You could just go here to grab pattern and click on the step below, and it grabs the exact same pattern. Click on free and change the perspective. And the scale could be a little bit bigger. Okay, so we'll click OK, and now we want to draw that riser. So again, we'll go in here to the drawing tools, trace it, click on Greenscapes, and we're going to do the same thing because I want the running bond pattern here. So I click on Grab Pattern, click on that, go to Walls, and we got that set. Now to do the edges is pretty much the same thing, so let's do a couple of those. So we'll go in here to the drawing tool, tracing that log there. Again, we'll grab this pattern, go to Walls, and as you can see, it does go pretty fast. So we'll do one more in case you didn't get it the first time. Grab pattern, grab the running bond, go to Walls, line it up. So what you're going to do is you're going to repeat this for the rest of the steps. It's pretty simple. One thing that will make it look more realistic is creating the shadows. You see on these steps, like this one doesn't have much of a shadow, this one has a darker shadow, this one's got a dark shadow, but creating shadows in there really makes it look more realistic. So a fast and easy way to do it is to simply click on the riser that you want to make a shadow of, and then duplicate it by clicking on Duplicate, and then just click anywhere on the screen, then right click to cancel duplication, and then click on the shadow command, and now it's made a shadow. And then just move it back into place. Now you could draw it into place, but duplicating is way faster and there's no mistakes made. So we're going to do that one more time. So I'm going to click on this riser here, I'm going to duplicate it, I'm going to right click to stop duplication, and then I'm going to click on shadow, and I'm going to drag it into place. Now if I want to make this one a little bit darker, you right click on the shadow, and you see here the transparency is 25. I'm going to raise it up to 44 and then click OK, and you can see that one has a darker shadow. Now let's do it here on the side too. Let's grab one of these, and we're going to duplicate, right click, shadow, put it back into place. Do the same thing here, duplicate, right click to cancel duplication. I did want to make it an object, and put it into place. So now I'm going to skip ahead and do a few more of these because really it's the same thing over and over, and then we'll do some landscaping in it. Okay, I'm done, and that took me about 20 minutes to finish this off, put in all the shadows in here. The next step would be to put some grass in here. To do that, I'm just going to draw over the steps and send the grass to the back. We'll do that pretty quick. So we'll go up here to the area tool, draw in where I want the grass to be. I'm going to draw over the steps here. I'm going to zoom out so I can get down to the edges here. And now I'm going to go into the library, go into the secondary library, we'll get some grass, adjust the perspective. You notice that I'm zooming out because sometimes I can't get the handles that are off the screen because I drew off the screen. Make that a little bit bigger. So what you do at this point is send the grass to the back. So we'll go up here to send to back. And now the grass is behind it. Now what if the customer wants to change these to a different paver? Yes, it does happen. People say, well, you know, that looks nice. It kind of goes with the gazebo and a few things in the house, but I want a brick closer to the color of the house. It can be done, but I'm going to show you a couple ways to do it. Okay, I did say there was a couple ways to do it, but really there's 3 ways to do it. And one of them I'm going to talk about here, but I'm not going to do it because it would just take too long. So first of all, if I would have named these steps 1, 2, 3, etc., then I would know which are steps and which are risers, and well, even the sides could be called a riser because they're all done the same way. But I didn't do that, so I cannot use to create a group out of the area. So if I selected all these, I could go up here to area and create a texture group. But I don't know if I selected the top one or the one before because it's really hard to tell. And if they were named, and if you went here by name and they were named instead of unnamed area, then you would know which are steps and which are risers, so you could just select all the steps and then group them together to change them all. But I didn't do that, and I know from experience to go back in and name everything and try and do that would take longer than doing it the other way, which in my opinion will be faster. So that is one way. We're not going to do it that way at this time. So to change these, you need to select on the area that you want to change. Go up here to Pattern Library, click on Show Library if it's not already here, set to Paystone, and we're going to change it to the Chicago color. So I'll double click that one, and I changed it. Need to adjust the perspective a little. Click OK, go to the next one, repeat the process. Now you would think a quicker way to do it would be to select on one, go to Pattern Library, and then just go grab Pattern and then select on that step that has the color that you want. But I selected through it and I got grass there, which is not what I want. So what I would have to do is delete the grass so that it's not there to be selected, and it would be a little bit faster to do it that way. So I'm going to pause it and then show you how to do that. So I'm going to delete the grass, and then I'll select this area, and then I could use the grab pattern, which makes it a bit faster. Still takes a little time. Got to grab the right one. And you would keep continuing this process until you've changed everything. Now I'm going to show you another way. So this way is by far the fastest. What you need to do is you need to make you a secondary library of the stones that you need. In this case, we used Pavestone, so we're going to use Pavestone Basket Weave and Pavestone Running Bond. So to do that, you'd go to Library, create new library, make sure it's a texture library, give it a name, and then click OK. I'm going to hit cancel because I've already made the library. If you're not sure how to make a texture library, we have training movies for that, so I'm not going to bore you with that right now. So this is the library that I made. I called it Pavestone Del for deleting. So I've got my basket weave up here is the first ones, and then right here where it says Chicago again, it starts the running bond. So I want to click and drag this on top of the step areas, and as you can see, it's much faster to change. And now I want to change the risers. I go over to this Chicago. Let's put it on the screen so you can see it. This one here, and I'm just going to drag it on these. And because it's replacing and those stones are the same size, they should come out the right size, and it would look just fine. Now I noticed my shadows could be a little bit darker now that I've used this gray one, so I'll go back in and adjust those. Let's make this one 44. So I'm clicking on the shadow, right clicking, and then just changing this number here. So you can see it took a few minutes to change it, but I was able to do it so that if the customer really wanted the gray, they could have that. So that's how you change it, and that's about all you need to know. Now I've dressed it up a little bit with a few plants, and you can see it looks a lot more realistic.